All right, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ray Lewis. I'm from the Center for Career Development at Morgan State University. This afternoon, right now, it is 1:22 p.m. I'd like to pass the mic to the host of the event with NetApp. It's called Tech and Sense. This is part one of this event series. Hopefully, we just have a really great event, just breaking down all the information on who NetApp is, what they do, and how our students can benefit from working with them. So I'm going to pass the mic at this time to Ms. Lee Dickerhoff, who I've been working with throughout this process, throughout the summertime, just getting this presentation together. So I say thank you again, Lee, for putting this together, and everyone else on the call as well. And let's get started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ray. And thank you to those that are listening in or watching the recording and have joined the session today. Thank you so much. As Ray mentioned, my name is Lee. I am part of the early in career team at NetApp. So excited to get to share a little bit more about what we do. But my favorite part of the session today will definitely be a panel that we'll have kind of for the latter half. But really quickly, just so you all kind of recognize the faces that are on the session today, I'll have them just quickly kind of introduce themselves and just say kind of what their title is, and then we'll jump right into talking about NetApp and what we do. So panelists, do you want to introduce yourself really quick too before we just jump in for the day?
It's always who goes first. Yeah. Sure. My name is Homayun. I'm a account manager here at NetApp, and I studied economics in school. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. My name is Jonathan Lunsford. I work as a software engineer and test. I'm a member of technical staff here at NetApp, and I studied electrical engineering at North Carolina A&T. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a digital marketing specialist here at NetApp, and I studied international studies and economics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. So as we get started today, like I said, wanted to start off really just by sharing about NetApp. If you've heard of us before, you are one of the few probably that attend school with you. So what I wanted to do is just share a bit more about NetApp and what we do. One of the reasons you probably haven't heard of us, if you have, wonderful, you'll kind of learn a little bit something new today, I hope. But the reason I kind of say that is because we're not a kind of household brand name like some other folks in the tech industry, since our customers are other businesses. So you are probably using NetApp products in some way. It just is kind of through the use of another organization. So with that, we are a cloud data services company. So what I mean by that is we specialize in data storage and data management products that help make just the lives of the businesses that we do impact much easier. So as you can imagine, there's so much data that we as individuals have, whether that's on like a device, like a cell phone or whatever that looks like. But also if you think about companies, they have sometimes petabytes and terabytes of data. So I wanted to share a bit more about kind of where this kind of more complex data storage mindset comes into play. And one of those really exciting customers that we get to partner with is actually DreamWorks. So I wanted to kind of let them share how NetApp has an impact in how they do business. So I'll go ahead and play that video now. If you don't mind, give me kind of like a thumbs up on the chat or in the video, that'd be wonderful, just to make sure you can hear everything okay.
There's a Yeti on my roof.
DreamWorks Animation is the home to the best filmmakers, storytellers, and artists in the world. We consider our artists our most valuable resource. Everything we do in engineering and every creative decision includes the artist at the core.
Technology should enable our artists to create art. And the best technology solutions are ones that the artists don't have to think about.
Our data fabric is a collection of systems, tools, and workflow to provide data services for animation, film, and television content creation.
Is that your home? No way.
Abominable is interesting. It has some of the more complex things to try to render and put on screen.
The Yeti in particular is quite complex. It has 2.7 million strands of hair with over 4,000 control points that make up the body and face. One single frame can contain millions of assets.
Our data fabric provides our artists with seamless data management at the best speeds with the lowest latencies to do their work. When building our data fabric, we use NetApp's tools to discover and better understand what's in our environment. To integrate data fabric into our environment, we added support into our cloud control plane, our analytics, and our automation platforms to better take advantage of what data fabric has to offer. Protecting our data fabric is one of the most important steps because we're dealing with content that was originally created by artists and it's irreplaceable. Our infrastructure and services are always evolving to keep up with the creative demand. As we resolve an issue or provide a capability, the artist will find a way to use it to make ever more compelling content. We're working with NetApp to future-proof, including the public cloud, to do data affinity to make sure the right data is in front of the right artist at the right time.
It allows them to put their imagination on screen without any limitations.
You can do magic? This is amazing!
Wonderful. But yes, pretty exciting as far as some of the customers that we get to interact with. And I know that's something that, as you can imagine, DreamWorks has not only multiple films that they're working on at one time, but also multiple versions of that. You have people from production to more of your like creation of characters and what all of that looks like. So much data goes into not only building one character, but if you think about it, the amount of data that they have across different features that they're currently working on. It's again such a neat aspect to be involved in kind of the complexity of what makes their business something that we can end up enjoying as end users. So excited to share more about that, but also, like I said, just more about NetApp in general. So with that, wanted to talk and kind of shift back to just some slides that we have to talk through what that looks like. So give me 1 second. Alrighty, so again, we are a global company as well. So we have, again, just a handful of employees here with us today on the panel, but we actually have over 11,000 employees across the globe. We have been around for almost 30 years now, but again, are a cloud-led, data-centric software company. And the way that we do that here, you'll see some different areas of what we are kind of leading in from cloud services. So again, cloud is something that is such a big piece of what we do. It's something that's definitely grown to be part of our ecosystem here over the past few years. But the way that we're able to consider ourselves a cloud-led company is actually, we don't create our own cloud. What we do is we actually partner with kind of your industry leading folks that are working in that space to be able to provide more of our data storage and data management solutions in that environment. So companies like Microsoft with Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud. But again, really just making sure that we're able to provide this kind of agnostic approach for our customers for no matter what kind of area that they're already focused on in the cloud, NetApp can help them from that data storage and data management perspective. So we're headquartered out of San Jose, California, but do have large offices kind of scattered all across the US, even though we're still working remotely as of now, but looking forward to hopefully having some more kind of hybrid model there here over the next few months. But again, excited to continue to share with you all today. Here is just, again, we've already talked about one customer that I always find really interesting, but also if you can imagine, there are customers that are all across different industries that we're also helping, whether that is Polygon Pictures or Kona, which is like the Coca-Cola bottling services in Atlanta, Georgia, and even in the healthcare space. So Siemens Healthineers, but again, companies that all work in very different spaces, right? But all kind of have this kind of lifeblood of their organization, and what makes them unique is truly their data and how they're able to run their businesses. So again, NetApp, again, just touching in so many different industries as well. And speaking of those customers, they're all going through what we call this digital transformation. And what I mean when I say digital transformation is if you think about a company like Netflix, for example. So many moons ago, you would have kind of this list of movies that you wanted to watch. You would get shipped a DVD in the mail, you would watch it, you would return it, and then you would get the next DVD kind of on your list. And now with Netflix, they are creating their own TV shows, their own movies. You can leverage, again, streaming and be able to watch that anywhere, anytime at such a convenience for their customers, which are, again, folks like yourselves and me. So that's a company that, again, has taken digital transformation and done that really well. If you think about the opposite kind of end of that spectrum, but in the same kind of space, like your Blockbusters of the world. I think I watched a documentary on that like this past summer. There might be 1 or 2 stores left in like the Oregon area, but again, a wonderful way just to kind of showcase our customers are really at every end of that spectrum, right? They're trying to be more of like your Netflix, for example, to continue to transform, but so much of that truly deals with data and how they're able to elevate their businesses. So speaking of their business, what's top of mind for them right now is really to create this really unique both customer and employee experience, but also being able to be innovative in their space, right? So how can they continue to move the needle in what they're doing as an organization? That's also going to directly impact kind of how they do business with a company like ours. But again, at the same time, they're trying to optimize operations from a cost perspective. How can they continue to be scalable? How can they do that really quickly, and how can we continue to help them with that? So from a technology perspective, you really have to think futuristically, like, okay, where are we now, but also where do we want to go, and how can our data and how we manage and store that help us navigate that process, but also continuing to move workloads to the cloud. Again, such a big and important piece for our customers, and really being able to kind of, again, pursue the promise of this kind of cloud native innovation. So again, a huge part of where NetApp comes into play there. And how we're able to do that is, they actually talked about this in the video earlier, through like a data fabric solution. And what we mean by data fabric, kind of that blue bar there, is this seamless flow of data. So when you think of data storage, there is kind of your traditional, more like hardware-based data center, like enterprise IT solutions that are more like your on-prem. And then there's also public clouds that we're able to add kind of our software solutions in to be able to provide really anywhere across that spectrum, however they're needing to manage and store data. NetApp can assist them with that. And there in the middle, you'll see ONTAP. So for reference, that's actually just one of our products in our portfolio that we offer. There's so many different ones, but ONTAP is the #1 storage operating system in the world. So again, a pretty neat thing that we've actually we're really founded around. But what's neat with that, and I mentioned we have a wide variety in our portfolio, and that's something because every one of our customers, we don't just chat with them, understand what their problems are with managing and storing data, and then we just offer them all this one solution, like, here you go, run with this, it'll fix all of your problems. So every customer, like I said earlier, is very different, so that you have to think through what different solutions will be right for them. So that's where NetApp again comes into play. We're very much so driven around relationships with these customers and how we can make their lives easier from a business standpoint. And we've talked so much about the different just customers and things that we interact with, but I really love this slide because it just shows the top 10 companies in different industries, but also the ones that use NetApp. So as you can see, many of them, it's all 10 of the top 10 from different industries. And whenever I talk with candidates, I know folks are always saying they want to work in a company where you're able to make a difference, and that means something different to everyone. So I wanted to showcase this slide too, because no matter what kind of your mindset is around that, there is a company that you would be able to be interacting with potentially that just resonates a lot with you, or that you remember from growing up, or whatever that looks like, that you can know that our technology is helping them make a difference. So again, a lot of that comes back to the people at NetApp. So I mentioned we have over 11,000 employees, but our people are truly what make NetApp NetApp. They are building these products and solutions, selling them, marketing them, but really we're based around building relationships with folks too, whether that's internally or externally. So always looking to continue to be thought of as just a unique company in the industry as well. So with that, wanted to just shift gears and talk about the people a little bit. So our kind of diversity, inclusion, and belonging and our culture at NetApp. This is actually a quote from our CEO, George Curry, and he was featured in kind of a, I guess, interview with Microsoft, I believe, over this past summer. But here, again, you'll see just kind of his outlook on what diversity, inclusion, and belonging means at NetApp. But also here, I love the last sentence about it being a proven fact that diverse teams achieve better results. But I think that's also something where, and why I love what I get to do and working in the early career space, as folks are looking for internships or that kind of first step after transitioning from the college environment to the corporate environment. You bring such a just different way of thinking from folks that have been with NetApp for a number of years, and you have different backgrounds, you've learned different technologies, or you've taken different classes and things. And again, that's something that is so valuable to organizations as you look to make that shift in your career. And one of the big pieces about NetApp, and I know at Morgan State, I know there's so many different organizations that you all can be a part of and be able to join outside of just your immediate classes. We have something very similar at NetApp called our Employee Business Resource Group. So here you'll see a variety of those as far as ones that we do offer to employees. But again, it's a wonderful way just to continue to build a network outside of just your immediate team. And again, that's truly built in to be part of our culture at NetApp. That's truly based around the people, of course, the workplace that we're in, but also how can we give back to the communities where we are as well. And then lastly, for kind of my piece before we transition, like I said, to the more exciting part of the conversation today, the programs that we offer. So for early in career, that'll incorporate anything from internships to full-time opportunities at NetApp. So from an internship perspective, that particular program does run mostly in the summer months. So about late May to mid-August or whatever works well based on your academic schedule. What's so nice about this program is a lot of what you work on is actually project-based. So things that you really get to see go from start to finish, but also are typically a good mix of, okay, what are you doing in your classes right now that you can apply at NetApp in whatever capacity that is, but also what do you want to continue to learn more about, and how can you step away from that internship? Yes, having learned about NetApp and the technology space in general, but also what skill sets can you take with you as you decide what classes you want to take next year, what you wanted to continue to pursue from a career perspective. So for this, the only kind of requirement that we take all majors, doesn't have a, or and all years as well, the only within school, so freshmen through juniors or even some seniors, depending on your graduation date. So that's kind of the only requirement we have, is that you have a graduation date of August 2022 or later. So you have to have basically at least one semester left as you start your internship with NetApp. So these, again, you get so many different things throughout the internship as well. Every intern gets a mentor. You can be involved in so many different activities as well, from innovation challenges to professional development events. We have an executive speaker series where you get to hear from our CEO and some other leaders across the organization. And even the intern showcase. That's one of my favorite events. It's a time for our interns to kind of towards the end of the summer, just take a step back and be proud about the work that you've done and showcase that to other employees. So you get to just have conversations with folks from all different organizations that are doing so many different things in their kind of day-to-day roles at NetApp. But I always love that because I feel like every year I hear from interns that will say, oh, I didn't even realize like my project is going to also potentially benefit this other team. I have a meeting with them next week now to talk about that. So again, it's as much like a full-time working experience as possible. And then on the other side of that, from a full-time perspective. So if you are graduating in December or May or whatever that looks like, we do also offer our NetApp Emerging Talent Program. So this is something, no matter what area of the business that you are joining from a full-time perspective, you are automatically a part of this initiative. So it's, again, something just to really help with that transition to life at NetApp. You are able to attend a ton of different events. They're similar to that we offer to interns, but just on more of kind of a continual basis and not like 3 a week or so. They're more spread out than that since it is an ongoing program. But you get anything from, again, social events, networking opportunities. We have a financial fitness series with Fidelity that you can just be a part of and kind of learn, okay, now I have a 401k. What does that even mean? So little things like that we help to just make sure that you're being set up for success as you join NetApp. And that's, again, something you're involved in day one as you join NetApp, and you can be as involved in that program as you would like. We have a lot of different like leadership roles you can take within that. If you like planning events or you like being a part of professional development events, and that's something you wanted to continue to be involved with at your time at NetApp, you're encouraged to do that as well. And then lastly, wanted to talk through the S3 Academy. So this is actually a program that we offer. It kind of falls under the NetApp Emerging Talent Program umbrella. But if you have an interest to go into a like customer facing role, so say that is sales, technical support, technical sales, professional services, which might be like project management or consulting, anything of that nature, you would actually go through this particular program that we offer 3 times a year. So depending on your graduation date, there's a class in February, in June, and then in September. So again, pretty flexible there for depending on what your academic schedule looks like and graduation and everything. But what you do in this 90-day program is you're learning all things NetApp. So you're learning about our products and solutions. You're learning about our kind of IT foundations. You're learning about just really anything that you would need to be successful in your role. So then once you graduate and on day like 91, when you would transition to your position, you know that you've truly been set up for success. So again, it's a wonderful program for folks that have more of an interest in interacting directly with potential NetApp customers. So again, can't say enough wonderful things about that program as well. But with that, I'm going to pause and we'll transition to actually let you all hear directly from folks who have gone through a variety of these programs and are still involved in them today. So with that, let me get to a different slide here. Awesome. So I know we had a quick kind of area of introductions and what all of that looks like, but wanted to just see for kicking things off. Actually, Ray, would it be better you pause and see if anybody has just like questions about NetApp first, and then we can move into the panel? What are you thinking?
Moja, do you have any questions so far? Well, if there's no student questions, we can just jump right in.
Awesome, no problem. I know we did this a little bit earlier too, but for the panelists, do you mind just one more time, maybe just introducing yourself, what you studied in school, and then your career path so far at NetApp? And Jonathan, you mind if we start with you?
Sure, why not? Yeah, so for myself, as I said earlier, I studied electrical engineering in terms of both studied electrical engineering and college engineering at North Carolina A&T. And then I had an internship previously at another company. And that was like my introductory to work in tech, and that kind of helped me build experience to get to where I am in NetApp, mainly in the testing and analysis, I guess, side, less development. And I've been here for about 2 years. So I would say I'm still kind of early in career and building my own career path. That's, I don't know, that could be like a whole nother conversation in terms of what I'm trying to do. But I've been enjoying my time here at NetApp and definitely been supportive in where I'm at right now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jonathan. Rachel, you want to go next?
Yes, I'm Rachel again. I studied international studies and economics in undergrad. And I didn't mention before, but I also did my MBA, which I graduated last May. And my introduction to NetApp was I was an intern in the summer 2020, so right when the pandemic hit. And NetApp was an awesome internship program, even though the internship program had to pivot virtually. And so I was an intern for an entire year, and then I joined full-time this past summer. So I've been here about 6 months, and it's been a really positive experience for me thus far. I've gotten to get involved really quickly at NetApp, gotten to know so many different, amazing, intelligent people at this company and have been really growing a lot.
Wonderful. Thank you. And last but not least.
Yeah. Like I said, my name is Homayun. I am an account manager here at NetApp, but I studied economics for undergrad at UNC Greensboro. And I came here through the S3 program and started as a sales, well, DSR now, the digital sales representative, and moved into an account manager role where I manage a territory and, oversee NetApp's business with our small and medium-sized businesses. Yeah, that's been a great path so far.
Glad to hear it. Thank you all so much. And then for the candidates that are on the panel or on the session today, feel free, jump in if you have questions. We want this to be more kind of conversational too. I have some questions if you don't have any that we can get started with, but if any of this like sparks an interest or sparks a question, do feel free, come off mute, ask. We would love to hear from you too. But in the meantime, I wanted to ask the panelists, if you don't mind kind of thinking back to your onboarding. So when you joined NetApp or were getting ready to join NetApp, how much did you know about kind of technology specific to NetApp prior to joining? Is that something you had to kind of learn as you joined? Were you like a NetApp expert ahead of time? Had you even heard of NetApp before you started your interview process? I'm curious to know, since I feel like many of the folks here today will be at kind of the latter part of what I was referencing. So I'd love to hear from you all about your experience too.
I can go first.
Sure.
No, I did not know anything about the tech industry in general. I didn't know anything about NetApp. I actually remember attending a presentation that you actually gave, Lee, at NC State, where I was first introduced to NetApp and the concept of like data storage, data fabric, and everything. So I really didn't know anything, but I just really was interested in the way, Lee, you were presenting NetApp as a company and what we do and like how it was impacting so many different industries. And so I ended up at NetApp, and I'm still learning a lot about the technology industry. I still don't know everything. But NetApp does a good job of offering a lot of guidance, a lot of training so that you can learn about our products. And if you want to learn different, technical skills that go with your role, NetApp definitely offers that.
Yeah, I think definitely on the same page on my side as well. Obviously, studying econ, you're not really like in the tech world too much by default, as Rachel probably knows too well. But I looked around here in RTP, and obviously, we have NetApp, Cisco, IBM, Lenovo, all these great companies, and that's how I got really introduced to the whole ecosystem, and NetApp stood out amongst them. So, and then the rest was all learning through the S3 Academy. The whole drinking out of a fire hose setup, especially when you have to sell the equipment, right? You have to really know what you're talking about. But it's been great to like have folks around you that can come in and support, and very, very smart and engineers that are open to getting you up to speed.
For myself, so getting to know about NetApp was, I'll just go about my story. So initially, I had an internship with Intel, and when you're intern, you get to hear of the company reports and stuff like that, be like a company of sorts. And then I saw that their data-centric business was really what they're leaning on, and less than the consumer, laptops and consumer electronics. So I was like, oh, cool. Well, that's a tough sign for what's to come in the next 10 years in terms of growth. And I was always interested in like the Internet of Things. And NetApp is also like a partner with, it was like a TMCF, Thurgood Marshall College Fund trip that I actually flew out to California to see the NetApp headquarters. So that was like first introduction, really, well put together presentation. And in terms of the technology, I didn't know anything about storage coming out of college, or they don't really teach much about, storage, but, telecommunications was something I knew of. So the rest kind of like, was previously said, it's just drinking from a fire hose and reading and being able, open to, being humble and, learning from others. That was kind of how I approached it, my onboarding. Yeah, good memories, great memories. Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Yes. So it sounds like a common theme of having an understanding of, yes, a neat space to work, but as far as knowing specifics about NetApp and what we do, kind of more so once you got kind of your foot in the door and we're in your role. So I know that was very different for everyone since you're in all different spaces of the company too. So I thought that would be helpful for the students to hear that, yes, you can prep for an interview and things, but folks aren't expecting you to come into an organization knowing all the things. We are here to help. We're here to provide resources for you to answer questions. And that is something that doesn't go away. I've been here at NetApp for almost 7 years now. I still ask questions every day. There's still so many things I don't know. And the company is always changing too. So things that I need to continue to learn and continue to read about and study myself. So it's something that, again, I think being eager to learn is also a wonderful skill set to have as you look for opportunities too. So you're not going to just go to school and then your learning will stop. You have more to keep doing. But again, that's a great thing to be doing. So again, it just helps you to continue to grow in your career too. So thank you all for that. And then kind of on that same area, and speaking of kind of your job search, I know Homayun, you mentioned a couple of like other companies you had looked at and things like that. So I was just curious about maybe what were some of the key aspects you did look for in a potential company whenever you were looking for either internships or roles for after graduation in general?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was like finding a company that, invest heavily on their early in career folks. And, seeing the S3 Academy was probably the biggest thing was, hey, we'll go put you through this program, get you the exposure that you need, and get you set up and ramped up to be able to speak to the technology and also have like the professional acumen and the sales skills that you need. So that was kind of the selling point for me. Getting that and also seeing the trajectory of the company, right, and how it's leading the pack in its industry itself is also really reassuring by itself. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Rachel or Jonathan, anything stood out for you whenever you were looking for an organization?
Yeah, I mean, in particular to NetApp, I was looking for a company that was going to be around for, another 20 years. And I wanted to see like what type of technology they were investing in. And if it's new, you always want to work on something that's cool, something that interests you. And being at NetApp was kind of foreign to me. Yeah, it stood out in that aspect. And it's not a, huge, large company. Like around 11,000 employees. Like I graduated from a school that had around like 10,000, 11,000 students. So I don't know, it kind of felt comfortable. Like I felt, I don't know, better in going to NetApp than like a, larger company. So yeah, looking back, I think that's actually a reason I chose NetApp.
I agree. Employee-wise, it sounds like a large number, but I feel like being here, it doesn't feel like that. So.
Yeah. It allows you to like kind of grow and then, meet other people and then like there's opportunities. So yeah.
I can add, I was looking really for a company with strong cultural values. And I think NetApp has a really great culture. People are always willing to help, really willing to develop you, which I appreciate. And I was also looking for a company that had opportunities to get involved beyond just my day role. And NetApp definitely provides that with their employee business resource groups, which I was able to get involved in right away with our Women in Tech organization, as well as our NetApp network of Blacks in Tech, and as well as volunteer opportunities. There's something for everyone at NetApp just beyond your day role. And it feels good to have, a positive impact on the company in that way too.
Yes, Rachel, I remember even, I think you were an intern and I joined like an NMBT event and you were helping lead the charge, and which was so wonderful to get to see, especially because you'd only been here for a couple weeks, I think, at that point, and jumped right in. So thank you for that. And just also for all that you all are doing to give back, even for events like this. As you all can imagine, this isn't part of Jonathan, Homoyun, or Rachel's day-to-day aspects. Are doing this in addition to all the work that they have on their plate. So thank you all for doing that too. And then the last question that I had kind of come up with, and then we can definitely answer more from the audience or just in general if you all have any other things that you want to touch on today for the session, but figured this would be really applicable to students that are listening in or have joined. So what advice or tips do you have for current students that maybe looking to leverage experiences that they have and really start their careers in the tech industry?
I think it's a good question. I guess it kind of depends on your background, because like there's multiple ways. You heard Hamayun speak of like the S3 Academy. I did not go through the S3 Academy, and being in engineering or computer engineering, you're kind of like you're like in the forefront of tech in general. But for current students, I mean, I would recommend just find what interests you, find what companies maybe you can relate to, and then lean on that, lean on your experience. If it's it can be something simple, like a simple project. If you like coding, and really make it sound awesome. Really be proud of whatever you made in the product. Act like you are selling it to a customer, and then I believe most people will hear, or see the work that you put in and give you a chance. And then all you have to do is kind of be ready when the opportunity comes. And yeah, that's, I guess, the best advice I can give.
Yeah, I think John touches on a good point that like tech is just like such a big, like it's such a big category. So maybe a lot of people are intimidated because they're like, well, I'm not a coder or, a comp sci specialist like Jonathan is, or an electrical engineer. But I talk to a lot of folks that on my side of the house that really have no, technical background. I like that I can get technical with it. I think that's good to be, you want to be passionate about that piece of it, but really, figuring out, is the industry as a whole right for you, and also like which part of it would fit your areas of interest and challenges that you want to take on. Because if you like project management, then there's so much you can do on that front. And if you like marketing, right, like there's so many, if you want to get creative with it, there's just so many different elements of it. So probably like the biggest thing is just do research, right, on like what are those areas, talk to people, attend these panels, and then see what are potential places that you could go. That's probably what I think about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm in marketing, and so my role is a little bit less technical. So don't be afraid to look for roles that are not super technical, or if you are interested in technical skills, don't be afraid to just go for it. I would say what I've seen so far, at least being in tech for the short time I have, is the two biggest soft skills are like adaptability and collaboration. And I think you can get those skills through experiences not being in tech. I think just through, the college experience, you learn about adaptability, how to collaborate in class projects. So just really leveraging your soft skills, I think, is a really good way to help break into the tech industry.
I love that. I was talking with a student recently, and they'd had like 2 internships taken away due to COVID, which is, for one, just so sad to hear. But they were like, so whenever I go like in an interview, like, what do I have to talk about? And I was telling them, any of your experiences in school too are so relevant. You can talk to projects like Jonathan mentioned, your involvement outside of just what's in your classes. Any experience that I think makes you will help set you up for success as you look to kind of embark on that job search journey, especially for the tech space and everything. I know it can be kind of a daunting process at times, but just knowing like your story and what you can bring to the table for an organization, I think is something that can be so impactful, and truly kind of just being able to share that in conversations you have and on your resume. Don't be afraid if you haven't been able to have those different opportunities that you think are exactly what you're going to need. You can leverage so much of what you've already been doing to continue to be able to learn and be able to get your foot in the door at different places. So I wanted to kind of reference that as well, just because it was top of mind from another conversation I was having this week. But with that, like I said, happy to pause. That's the ones I'd kind of come up with as far as being able to leverage kind of the Q&A part with the panel today. So if there's any kind of questions that folks kind of in the audience have, or either the panelists too, any kind of last thoughts you wanted to share, or anything we didn't touch on that you think might be insightful for students, happy to hear from you all too.
I think what you touched on, I just want to reiterate, like when I was in school, I didn't think that my school projects really are like that significant, because you don't know how much of like real world value they have, right?
Okay.
You know what that real world looks like. So all that involvement stuff, I think is a lot more important than people probably think. So
especially for us at NetApp, right? Because we interview on, I would say, almost more of like a culture fit approach too, versus what just technical skill sets do you have. And I think, like I said, thinking of like what makes you you and those experiences you've had. Because if you think about it, if you're involved in different organizations on campus, you have a part-time job to help pay for school, all these things, that for one shows you know how to communicate with a variety of people. They're all different in all those different aspects, and you know how to manage your time effectively. There's so much that goes into that. If you just kind of think through the skill sets you're gaining, no, they're not directly maybe tied to a specific internship or whatever that looks like, but you're gaining so many skill sets that are extremely valuable that you can continue to use.
Can I pose a question?
Of course.
All right. What was the application process like for you all?
I can take that from an HR perspective, and then folks, if you want to jump
I'm taking everybody's perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So from an HR perspective, so we post our like internships and full-time jobs, but whether they're a little bit different, we post them kind of in like buckets of interest. So like on our careers site right now, you'll see a variety of like intern-software engineer or intern-marketing. So it's really depending on kind of what area you have an interest in, you would apply to like that particular role. And same thing for full-time. It'll be like NetApp emerging talent-marketing or academy-digital sales reps. There's so many different opportunities that you can look into. And from an application standpoint, what happens is once you submit your application, that then goes to the recruiters. And what happens is once we have a like specific team that falls within software engineering or within sales or within marketing, whatever that looks like, and it matches your background and what you're looking for, that's when a recruiter reaches out to you to officially start that interview process. And also you'll get a link where you can also just submit like having an interest about NetApp, and you'll get a follow-up email about how you can officially apply to those opportunities. And what's nice is as long as you use the same email address when you go to like register your interest as you do to apply, you'll actually get a flag on your application that'll showcase that you took time to attend or watch the session today. So you get kind of an extra kind of kudos on your profile there to showcase your just kind of extended interest in the company too, which I think is a win-win. But I'll let the panelists talk about their kind of experiences too.
Thank you, Lee.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was gonna say that I mean, I applied, and I was thankful enough to be contacted by none other than Lee. She was Lee Smith at the time, and yeah, I mean, there are some when you're interviewing for like a member of technical staff, specifically towards engineering, usually you talk to the hiring manager and just get a good feel for you, what you're interested in, just like a candid conversation. And I was thankful for that. And it actually made me feel more made me feel better about joining the company. And then you meet the whole team. You get to talk to a lot of members of the team, figure out what they like about the company, what gets them up, to start working on a rainy Monday morning or something like that. And yeah, and then after that, it's a good field, and someone like Lee was Smith at the time will reach out to you and tell you maybe where you can improve, or maybe have good news and extend an offer. And, yeah.
Thank you, John.
I think it's probably a little bit different for different folks, based on kind of where you're going as well. I think for the S3 Academy, it's like a pretty uniform process, like across the board, but pretty similar to what Jonathan was saying.
Thank you, Hamid.
Yeah, the S3 Academy people, they're the cool folks. Actually, they're the people that I would when we were on campus, I was like, dang man, I wish I was with them. Because I mean, especially if you're in the younger crowd, they usually have I would say just young folks, but they definitely have a good bit of younger people. And yeah.
I think my experience was pretty similar to what everybody has said. The only difference was when I was an intern, NetApp essentially came to me and said, we'd like to just offer you a full-time position, and they just like converted me to full-time. So there wasn't really like an interview or anything for that part. But there was like a traditional interview for the internship and whatnot. So yeah.
You hit the bypass button on a lot of.
You did, yeah.
Got lucky with the bypass button.
I mean, I just appreciate all the different perspectives. I ask that just from my knowledge and my position, but also from the student perspective as well. Just understanding what they're looking at or looking towards, and also just different notes for myself as well. So I just thank you, and I thank you all for coming, for sharing, and just giving your different perspectives on everything.
Of course, happy to do it. And thank you so much just for the prep you did to put into this, for speaking with me. I think we started conversations back in July, so it's crazy to think it's already time for it to be here and happening. So thank you, Ray, too, just for all the work you've done to put all this together for the students. I know it'll be a really just impactful experience for them to be able to hear from different folks as they embark on that kind of career journey and figuring all of that out. So thank you for having us too.
Absolutely. We'll definitely be in touch, Lee. Now that I have a better understanding of NetApp, what you all do just at a more detailed level, I'll definitely keep students in mind and keep you all in mind as well. So don't take that any type way, me saying that. I'll definitely be in touch with different names, and I'm not expecting too much special treatment, but you know what I mean? We have met. So I just, again, thank you all for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much, Ray. And thanks for joining. And let us know if you have any questions. Like I said, I'll send over a link, Ray, if you want to include that with the slides for folks. If they have an interest in NetApp, feel free to fill that out. It's a really short form just to let us stay in contact with you. But thank you again for the time.
Absolutely. You all have a safe week. All right.
Thank you. And thank you, panelists, too. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye, everyone.